fucking what do you want to call it? Like a loincloth, kind of like a Roman gladiator thing. You know what I mean? Like your undercarriage, and then you have like a wrestling singlet on top and stuff like that. So, you've got a couple of messages and stuff there that are being portrayed as far as like this is who AJ the Giant is, and this is what he's about. And
Right.
so in my mind, I kind of see that as, oh, all right, well that makes sense. What we'll do here is that like I want something to show that AJ is a babyface. Like I've always talked about, the crowd's reaction to you and all of those things that that you would associate with a baby face, right?
Right.
And so the blue colors and stuff like that, kind of a baby face color. It's not black. It's not like you don't have actually a strong what do you want to call it? Like like a you're not giving off a dark vibe, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so with that in mind and stuff like that, that's what your image is. So now, when you're picking a new look for your appearance at Manchmania, the thing you've got to do now is to try and figure out, like, when you choose your colors, what are you trying to project, right? So before, the blue, kind of like sky blue, neutral colors and stuff like that, giving off kind of a football vibe, kind of a giant, kind of a gladiator kind of thing. But you're there to fight, and it's understood and stuff like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also nothing about you through your entire run that involved cheating or chicanery or bullshit calls or anything like that, right? So
Right.
when you go ahead and if you decide to change anything at all, by the way, I mean, if you want to stay fucking the way you're going and stuff like that, and you want to continue to push that classic thing, that sends a message too. That sends a message
Right.
that you are trying to you're going to continue to be a babyface, and you're sticking to your guns and what's been working for you thus far. Or you change
Right.
when you change it, you either change it to enhance that same statement, but in a different way on a bigger stage, or you change it to change the narrative. Like, are you suggesting maybe a heel turn or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, let's say you were to
Right.
just go like straight like black and white, right? Or maybe this is just the beginning, right? So you do like when it comes to, like, say, like a black and white, like the strict yin yang contrast and stuff like that. Maybe shows like maybe you're at the halfway point. Like maybe you're starting to get kind of frustrated with your position and things, that it's taking this long to accomplish what guys like Crawford has, who's been seemingly, to your mind, given everything on a platter. From your point of view, anyway. Crawford, of course, would have a completely different take on that.
Right.
And you could have like more white than black, right?
Right.
So it's like the main colors are mostly white and stuff like that, because this is who you're saying you've been. But this complaint you have, because remember, complaining is something that bad guys do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like that shit would be on
Yeah,
the
no, I
fringe.
gotcha.
As opposed to going mostly fucking black with white on the edges and stuff like that to actually complete the fucking color scheme to the heel turn, Not that I'm suggesting you even, like, again, that first suggestion was stay the course, right? Continue to be
Right.
the baby face that you are. These are all of your options. But all the same, whatever you decide to do, I'm going to try and make fucking highlight of in my commentary on as a means of planting seeds for your developing character. The last show of the year and stuff, you're going to have a break, and then we're going to come back kind of fresh with a new game,
Yeah.
So, I mean, same. So go ahead and tell me what your thoughts on that are.
Okay, what?
Well, I mean, first off, like, what do you think about that idea as far as being like, I mean, because you're taking a big loss right now, and I was trying to give you the floor to talk here, goddammit, because I've been fucking running at the mouth.
I didn't know I was just listening to what you were saying, like, about the whole Mania thing.
Yeah.
I
I don't expect you to have an answer right now, but I mean, obviously, you might have a reaction to when I'm laying out like the groundwork for your storyline going forward from this point forward, after taking the loss in the March for Death or March of Death, whichever one of those.
Yeah, I'll go before you phrase it at.
You've had this fucking setback, and so now, whatever it is that just give some thought to how you want to present yourself from this point forward, because you're kind of at a crossroads where you have to make a decision about how you want to proceed from this point forward.
Well, I mean, I'm personally, I'm annoyed by the fact that, everybody. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I lost. I'll take the loss, but I'm just annoyed by the fact that it went down that way. I'm really annoyed that I lost to you, of anything.
Right.
I would have rather lost for all.
Right.
Truth be told. But I don't know. I think I'm getting tired of the bullshit, and just getting tired of the bitchers. I don't like the bitch, so I'm not gonna start laughing at people. That's not really my MO.
Yeah.
So I'll probably end up staying on the court for the most part and seeing what happens, and maybe find a way to form some alliance with somebody down the line.
Right.
And pursue that side of it. I mean, I like Crawford's idea about like the new age versus the old age, but I don't know if I could follow someone like Crawford. I feel like he's backstabbed me as soon as he got a chance.
Oh, we got some fire here on the first MVWF podcast, Cattle Podcast. We are broadcasting live on YouTube, by the way, right now. My guest here is AJ the Giant. I am Damian Andrews. Anyway, so that's just an interesting thing to kind of like spend some time thinking about and stuff like that. Because again, even if it's something that you decide not to do for Match Mania, it's not something that you have to pull the trigger on, right? I mean, you can save that for fucking season 2 when we come back, whenever Christmas season over, when I get out of endless hours of work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my character and the way my guy is plays well with the crowd. I mean, they seem to enjoy me. I don't get these very often. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm not a heel, but I don't have that push yet. But I feel, me personally, who has to raise, I feel I have to earn it. So, I'm just going to continue to go out there and win matches and wait my turn.
Right. It's a peculiar thing because as a babyface, I mean, you and Crawford are who I would say are the top 2 baby faces in the Federation. Hands down, right? I mean, you guys have occupied the upper mid card to the main event and stuff like that pretty much throughout the year and stuff, right? And there's this thing on the table right now of, where, one guy has kind of like, gone along and made something of himself. And the other guy has made a pretty good reputation too, but what has he got to show for it? A single tag team fucking championship win with a guy who, had him under his wing, but that relationship seems to have dissolved. AJ the Giant and Brandon Bones don't appear to be fucking best buds anymore and stuff. I mean, you got to imagine there's got to be some I mean, you just said that the thing that bothered you the most was losing to Brandon Bones.
Yeah, well, both times I had a chance to get the title, I was defeated by Brandon Bones. And needless to say, both times I lost to Brandon Bones were after another match.
Right, and who is Brandon Bones but the owner of the MVWF?
Right, so talk about him banging your head against the wall, know. Hey, look, it is what it is, but I'm going to say this now to you, Damian, just to make this very clear, that if Rock Holly loses to Brandon Bones in his championship match to go to the Match Mania for the title, I want Rock Holly in the I want to end Rock Holly. I am tired of Rock Holly bitching and complaining and, this, that, and the other thing, Rock Holly's buried at. No. He's done.
And denied your friend request on Facebook.
Well, that's true, too. Didn't have the audacity to even, the serve to even talk to me. He ran his mouth with Brandon Bones behind the scenes about me. I believe it was AJ the Queer is what the term he used.
Ooh.
Something of that nature. And then he goes out, he beats me, and he's all proud of himself. And
Hello? Hello? All right, well, as you would fucking imagine here for the MVWF, having technical issues, as we often do. Hopefully AJ will call me right back, but again, it stands to reason to question the coincidence that takes place, or the coincidence that comes to mind when Brandon Bones is the owner of the MVWF. And hey AJ, I was just saying that it stands to reason to question when there's this huge coincidence, or is it a coincidence that twice now AJ the Giant has found himself bottlenecked against the MVWF owner?
I don't know what you heard with our technical difficulties, but I'm standing by my statement that if Rock Holly loses to Brandon Bones, I do want Rock Holly at Match Mania.
Right.
I started with Rock Holly. I'd like to end with Rock Holly.
Yes, and you know what I mean. I mean, this really goes back to the beginning of the phase 2, in that the seed was planted in the finals of the championship tournament.
Yep.
Where I mean, it was the beginning of what apparently would eventually be a rivalry, because the two of you, only managed to kind of like pass like ships in the night from that point forward. I don't remember, maybe in a tag team match here or there or something along those lines. But
I don't believe so. No, I think I lost Rock Holly in the phase 2 first match for the title.
Yeah.
And I don't think I saw Rock Holly again because he was too busy fighting with Crawford and you.
I would have to.
Brandon Bones and everybody at the commission.
Was it all the way into the B1 Climax tournament when you fought in the A block?
Yep, that was our next meeting, and I was victorious in that one.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I submitted by a bear hug.
Mm-hmm.
And then I defeated him in the match after that. We had to fight. And then there was another match, the one I just won last week.
Now, to be fair, you've also been on record as talking about the seriousness that you've taken recent statistics. I mean, because you're a statistics guy. In fact, I was talking you up to Rock Holly the other day about the fact that you're a statistics guy. Your background in baseball, and all of those types of things where you use analysis to enhance your gameplay. Then you've pointed out repeatedly that you've pointed out a pretty big flaw in Rock Holly's argument as to the current situation of things when you look at his recent record.
This is true.
Go ahead and give us your dissertation on that.
Well, I mean, I went back to pre-D1 Climax tournament and post D1 Climax tournament, and I noticed that Rock Holly's, I'm not mistaken, it's 1-6-1 since then.
Right.
I can't remember whose only victory was over, but I mean, maybe I'm being petty in the sense of picking on a wounded duck in the sense that Rock Holly's on a losing streak per se.
Right.
But then again, as I've stated to you previously, that it just takes one win over Brandon Bones, and that will change that whole script.
Right.
So.
And you also had something to say about as far as your opinion on what you thought the outcome of that was going to be.
Yeah, I'm fully in the Brandon Bones camp on that one. I would like to see Brandon Bones get his rematch with Crawford.
Right. See, now,
kind of put that to rest. But
isn't
that
that
will allow
interesting?
me my opportunity to possibly fight Rock Holly. But I do have options if Rock Holly is victorious.
Right.
I do. I'd like to see at Match Mania.
Yeah. I mean, because it's strange that you might say that in the sense that, you just a few minutes ago were kind of pushing the red button of conspiracy theory about your interactions with Brandon Bones as it has reflected in your success rate in championship opportunity scenarios.
Yeah.
And yet you still find yourself in the camp of Brandon Bones against Rock Holly coming up at the next event.
Oh, Brandon Bones has disrespected. I feel disrespected by Rock Holly.
Right.
Brandon Bones actually would have a conversation with you, or at least give you the time of the day and not have his ego be so inflated that he couldn't find time to acknowledge you. And my understanding is Brandon Bones hasn't talked shit about me behind my back either. So I've made it a point that if I'm going to talk about someone, I'll talk about it, I'll have it recorded. That way there's no illusion of what I said.
Right.
But they're right or wrong, of course.
Right. Well, you know what, too? You've also got this you've got the first opportunity right here. Let's just call it for what it is. That I mean, we've done some dry run podcasts in the past that I haven't been able to figure out how to post and stuff during the B1 tournament and all. And so, truth be told, I mean, this is like the first time anybody's had, outside of that chat thread, a truly public forum in which to go on the record. Sure. I mean, and Rock Holly, of course, will be afforded that opportunity should he so choose to do so. But I want to get back to something that you were starting to allude to for a second there that really caught my ear, because it's something that I have not heard espoused by too many members of both, past or present, of the MVWF roster, and that was that anyone expressing anything that said anything positive about dealing with Brandon Bones in the negotiating phase of things. For the most part, it's always been very negative, biased. He's a puppet master. He holds people back. Even as recently as here in Phase 2, guys like Crawford have made pretty heavy accusations. Kevin Welch, pretty heavy accusations about how the new generation is being held down by the old generation, that the glass ceiling is fucking plexiglass. And, nuclear resistant. In spite of the splash, obviously, that this new generation was making. But you're saying, AJ the Giant, that your negotiations with Brandon Bones in the guiding of your career, that in spite of your feelings about recent coincidences and such, you still have kind of a positive feeling about it.
I've had no issues with dealing with Brandon Bones personally. I don't know where Crawford or Welch get their complaints. I mean, if you look at it black and white, I mean, every match I've been in, I've either earned the right to be there, or I don't feel I've been awarded anything by Brandon Bones.
Right.
And I don't think I've been held back. I mean, I would have had a shot at Crawford had I won my match against Brandon Bones, or it would have been in the top furthermore.
Yeah.
So, me personally, I have no issue with Brandon Bones as far as negotiation goes. At this moment, that might change going into year 2. But at this moment, I don't have any complaints, so I can't agree with those gentlemen.
See, that's very interesting. So you're not saying that, like, you're I mean, because it almost sounds like you're backtracking a little bit. Because earlier in the conversation, it sounded like, oh, geez, isn't it funny, that they keep running into Brandon Bones and stuff like that, and then suddenly there's no title shot for me.
Oh yeah, but I'm not backtracking on anything. That has nothing to do with the fact of being held back. I just happened to lose.
Right.
I didn't lose by interference. I didn't lose by an unfair match. I lost.
Right.
So I can't classify that as being held back. And that would have nothing to do with negotiation. I've gotten every match I've ever asked for the most part.
Right.
We've worked out. Short of a few. So, I mean, instead of starting controversy with me and Brandon Bones about this, I've had no issue. I'll go on the record and say that. I have an issue with losing to him, but that's just the personal side of it.
Right. Well, I have to say that this was very informative as far as this interview right here. So I want to move on from all of that then, because there is so much other stuff to consider now. The Royal Rumble result of Rock Holly backdooring his way, that in spite of going 0-2 in the March for Death, still manages to find himself a way to hold on by his fingernails, getting another chance to get that championship shot. But I want to say that this is probably good for a guy like Ryan Crawford to finally get a hold of that belt, to kind of hang back and let things kind of like settle down in front of him. The champion's advantage and stuff, right?
We've all seen the rivalry.
Right. I actually there is something that I wanted to bring up before I actually moved on from the topic and stuff, because obviously I'm having a hard time pulling away from a Rock Holly conversation. But we briefly touched on this yesterday, but I wanted to get you on the record here too, because I'm interested in what your opinion would be, because Rock Holly said when speaking with him about negotiating the match with Brandon Bones coming up, the question came up of like, what are the rules going to be? The March of Death, March for Death, whatever you like to call it, was a no disqualification, falls count anywhere, no countouts, fucking 2 out of 3 falls match. And considering absolutely, I mean, he said that your match with him and AJ was the most brutal match he's seen all year. How do you top that? Because all three of those matches have kind of a kinship to one another. They're almost as if they're one match. So it's just kind of a different kind of triple threat presentation. What do you think they should do? Because Rock Holly suggested they just do a straight up match.
As much as I want to disagree with that, I think that's the fair way to do it. I don't think 2 out of 3 falls works. I don't think street fight. I think you just go a mano, and when it gets right, because you start adding all these variables into it and change the outcome of the match. And you saw in the matches yourself, me and Rock Holly out there, we spent 5 minutes headbutting and punching each other.
Right.
So there's not a lot of action, just a lot of back and forth, all that good jazz. So I think he's right. I think a straight up match doesn't favor Brandon Bones, though.
Wow.
Because the more time you're in the ring, Rock Holly gets that figure 4 and gets lights out most of the time.
Yeah. And he just wasn't very inclined to do any of that in the March for Death, being that you guys were all outside the ring, in just about all 3 matches.
My understanding is he didn't get it on anybody. I was in rehab. I was getting a little bit of work in the hospital after my ass kicking that I took and my ass kicking that I gave. So I didn't see the Brandon Bones Rock Holly match, so I don't know if he did apply the figure 4 to Brandon Bones at any point, but I will go with, I don't believe he threw it on me at all.
He did. But your assumption is correct. He did not.
So, but I think a straight up mono match would be good.
All right.
Personally.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the consensus. So, but anyway, tag title match is coming up. Fucking the Spruce Street Butchers are getting the last tag team title shot before Manch Mania. So that's the direction we're going there. And of course, the main event will definitely be Bones and Rock Holly and stuff. So there is a bit of an undercard to work out here for some of these remaining last couple of events before Manch Mania. Anything on your mind that you're looking forward to possibly seeing?
I think you should run with the Kyle and Adrian Knight tag partnership.
Yeah.
I feel that's a good partnership there. I'd like to see, personally, I'd like to get a little bit of time in there with Little Bitch Ass again.
You and Little Bitch Ass?
It's not a favoring of, rankings or anything. I just think it's a good match. I want to see how far I've come. I got a little bit of a losing thing with Little Bitch Ass, so I'd like to fight him and see how that goes and try to even the score on that one. I think I'm going to make a prediction for you here, Damien, and I'm going to let you know that I think Kyle's going to have a big push next year. I think him and Adrian Knight are going to be where me and Crawford are now.
Yeah, he had some tough luck in the Royal Rumble there, getting Bushwhacker Luke, where he just came right in and went right out. And that performance there is not reflective of what we presume his potential is.
No, I feel he has a good arc going. Yeah. I will say this much though, he didn't last as long as I believe it's Brandon Bones' favorite wrestler, Daniel Bryan, in the infamous Sheamus kick match of WrestleMania. So, I've spoken with Kyle, and that's the last thing he remembers from his MVWF time. So he'd like to make up for that with a good finish here at the end. Right.
So yeah, I mean, Adrian Knight is someone who's kind of like a man without a country at the moment. I mean, he has so many really great stats that he's collected throughout the year and stuff, being the only guy in history to ever win a 3-on-1 match. He had some pretty fantastic matches throughout the year and a phenomenal performance in his rookie year in the B1 Climax tournament. I mean, he is the dark horse of that tournament, and the shadow cast by AJ in kind of vanquishing him in that dispute match about the 12 points or not has really fucking hurt him and set him back in a way that was unexpected. But, I mean, if they can get themselves a victory, I don't know who I'm going to book them against, and maybe uppercut and fisticuffs or somebody. But if they win that match, I mean, I wouldn't have any problem giving those two guys a tag team title shot against whoever the tag team champions are at Match Mania.
I just think they complement each other well. Adrian Knight's more of a powerhouse guy. Kyle's more of a finesse guy. I think they could do things, personally.
Right.
I would not want to have to compete against them in a tag match. Right. Personally. But then again, I might have to have a conversation with Brandon Bones about coming out of retirement and getting back on that train at some point down the line.
Right. So I don't know if you noticed or not during the Royal Rumble, but there was a bit of a seed planted in the Rumble that New Japan champion Kenny Omega made a brief appearance in that Rumble, apparently illustrating pretty loudly that they apparently have some kind of working relationship, or there's some introductory things going on between the MVWF and New Japan.
He was a wild card.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how things would have went if Omega had gone the whole way and won himself a title shot. I guess that would have fucking set things on fire almost immediately, and I would have thought that'd been a little premature.
I could see Brandon Bones ripping his hair out with little hair he had left in that case.
Yeah. But that's something to maybe consider for Season 2, a little later on down the line.
Hey, there's lots to look forward to. I mean, it's a growing organization. We are getting stronger and putting out a product that are intriguing to the masses,
Right. And one thing, now I'm really going to fucking have to really get more to like administrative sort of thing right here before I forget. But, if you know anybody that would like to be a part of the MVWF, it's too late to be a part of it to be in this season. But if anyone is listening or happens to come across my channel, I don't give a shit if you subscribe to my channel. I don't give a shit if you like my videos. I'm not starting a Patreon. I'm not trying to sell you a t-shirt. But if you would like to participate in the fun and know that your character would be in the fucking capable hands of a booker that knows what he's doing, then the MVWF is for you. And if there's anybody to fucking kind of illustrate this, that's Adrian Knight. I mean, I took a kid who I have no idea if he's an adult, a kid, or whatever, but somebody who just contacted me out of the blue on the PlayStation and asked to be a part of my league. He didn't win a championship, but he definitely had. I mean, there's hands down. I mean, he's Rookie of the Year, wouldn't you say?
I would probably agree. Yeah, I would say he's probably Rookie of the Year. I mean, I don't know. I guess theoretically, don't you classify Crawford and me as rookies too?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say he's a Rookie of the Year because we get kind of lumped into the old guard but new guard.
No, you're right about that. I leapfrogged that because in my mind, you guys are kind of obscured because of the level that you guys achieved. Adrian Knight, I mean, his story is so much different from yours.
Oh, I agree.
And
I think if you're going to say Adrian Knight would be your Rookie of the Year, biggest surprise of the year, maybe Crawford and me. Just in the general sense of where we got. But, I mean, yeah, I would say he could be classified rookie. He had some really good matches, but, it is.
Well, after a match...
I know, but I hate to do this to you, Damien, but my time's getting short, buddy.
Okay.
I'm almost to the airport. I got to get out of here.
All right. But keep also in mind, too, maybe put some thought into, but not any suggestions up front here, about, a Rookie of the Year, and a Wrestler of the Year, Match of the Year... we'll come up with some year-end awards and stuff like that. But that shit'll be on a podcast we'll do after Match Mania.
Yeah, we can reassess the year and we'll have a conversation about it. We'll go over all the numbers. That won't be a problem.
Right. Because I think I'm going to spend the rest of my day today keeping on doing everyone's records and stuff like that.
That's a bad idea.
At least, the real people, and also, who isn't real, then, they have to have a significant impact for me to count them. Like Hector.
Right.
Like Hector. Hector's not a real person, but, I'm definitely gonna keep his stats because he had an amazing
he's
year.
He's real to me in my head.
Yeah, I mean, but if there was ever a year of the rookie, because in spite of the glass ceiling being where it is, kind of holding the tide back from the championship, rookies did real fucking well for themselves as far as being made into stars all the same. I mean, to many varying degrees, between AJ and Ryan and Kevin Welch and Dennis to a lesser extent and Adrian Knight, Hector grew up this year, and a lot of the older guys, like the VWA guys, all kind of like faded into the background. I mean, there were months before Uppercut and Fisticuffs even showed their face.
Yeah, go back to how long was it before we saw, we didn't see Honky Tonk Man for the longest time.
Yeah.
So he made his comeback.
I had announced after the B1 tournament and stuff like that I was going to start phasing Honky out because he was cool and all to have around, but he wasn't exactly setting the world on fire.
Right, yeah, no.
And I mean, that's a guy he's getting cut.
He's not going to make it to season 2.
No, and I hate to get all Dana White about it, but fucking, that's just the fucking truth,
It's all good.
All right, well, so let's wrap this up. You've got shit to do. Get back to your fucking real job.
Not real life.
All right, so this was neat, man. Fucking a full-on lengthy broadcast where we could do some fucking real breakdown. You talked some shit. You spat some fire at the beginning of the show, and at the end of it and stuff like that, I'm gonna go and text Rock Holly and tell him to listen to the podcast.
Well, I'm being genuine with you in the sense of saying that I really would like to have another match with Rock Holly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have a lot of respect for Rock Holly. I'm not in any way, like in real life, I don't have any issues with that at all. I think he's a funny guy, but I think it's funny that he plays that persona like, oh, Rock Holly's too good to talk to him. Kind of thing. Like, that makes me laugh.
Yeah, and he really sold it by not accepting your friend request on Facebook.
Yeah, whether that was intentional or not intentional, I don't know. But
no, that was intentional. Rock Holly texted me and he says, "I'm too good to talk to him." I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said.
Oh yeah, no, I believe that. I found that entertaining. So that gave me a good laugh.
Yeah. All right, well, so let's wrap this up here. You got to get your ass back to work, and I need something to eat. So.
Yeah, I know. I just I got to get back to life for a little while.
All right.
Actually, I'm going to go back and let's do it.
All right, well, let's wrap this show up. We're definitely going to do more of these podcasts. This was a lot of fucking fun. It'll only get better from here. Match Mania is coming up. It's going to be a big fucking show. I'm really going to... in fact, actually, and by the way, MC Honky Lips is coming up on Sunday for the event to do color commentary. So,
right.
Yeah, so we will have some... It won't be just the lone naked voice of Damian Andrews perpetually forever, We'll spice some things up there at the end. All right, well, that's enough. All right, goodbye.
Later, man.